I'll be the first to admit I have a problem. My problem is being into women like this. This is Rhea Ripley. She's a wrestler. This is she's also kind of like super jacked, not like ridiculously jacked, but she's pretty jacked. That really doesn't matter. The point is she's she's got the whole goth thing going on, and look, she's got the subject of today's video more or less, tangential to the subject of today's, not tangential. What, I can't think of the word right now. Germaine is she's got the septum piercing, and I just it's probably one of the biggest issues I have when it comes to having such horrible taste in women like I have, is that I really like the septum piercing. The reason why I went with Rhea Ripley for this picture is because you know, I think she's really hot. But like I said, it is this exact kind of thing. She doesn't have the blue hair, but she's got the whole goth look and all the tattoos, and she's got the septum piercing. And I know that generally speaking, hashtag not all, whatever. I've met some perfectly, just it's been a small handful, but I've met some perfectly down to earth, reasonable, you know, seemingly mostly stable people, women who dress like this, who look like this, who do these kind of body modifications, and it's but like to the point is that it's such a small number. The vast majority of people who do this kind of stuff, they do it because they have problems, they have issues. But yeah, and and I will say this: a lot of the women that I have gone after in my life have looked like this, and it always blows up in my face. To the point. Just also, any excuse I have to talk about how hot I think Rhea Ripley is really helps. But you probably saw the thumbnail and was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Yes, the feminists have discovered nose ring theory, and they're not happy about it. They're not. Shout out to Tyler Durden, who the writer of ZeroHedge.com. I think I've used Zero Hedge a couple times. I like this website; it's pretty good. In the swiftly degenerating world of Western relationships, one factor above all others can be identified as the culprit: feminism. The driving force behind third wave feminism is not the pursuit of equal rights, which women already have, it's the pursuit of power. Like any communist movement, unilateral power over society is the end goal. I couldn't agree more. Like I don't even have any commentary because that first paragraph is just so demonstrably true that it kind of beggars commentary. When power is the goal, such movements naturally attract narcissistic people and inspire narcissistic behaviors. One thing I'll like to point out here is I think that we should stop using the term narcissistic. It's one of those kind of psycho slop terms. I see, and I just did it myself. I said slop when I shouldn't have, because I think I kind of hate slop too for the same reason. Just like like fascism, like fascist, Nazi, have completely lost all meaning at this point. Slop and slop and narcissistic, they've lost all meaning. Narcissist is just person I don't like at this point, and I'm just kind of tired of it. But other than that's just kind of a minor nitpick. Like, you're not a doctor. Like, narcissism is it's an identifiable like mental disorder. Just because like not every person being like peacock, like not like every person, man or woman, whatever, who peacocks like this is a narcissist. They're not. Like, I've got a bunch of tattoos. I don't have any piercings. I tried to have piercings. They all got infected. No matter how well no matter how hard I tried to take care of them, my body just always rejected the metal. So I would be pierced the fuck up if I could. Well, really, actually not. Even when I wanted to have piercings, I haven't tried in like a decade to even have one. When I did want them, I really didn't even want that many. Just like, I also wanted a septum piercing, but like it was like that was literally it. Like my labret, my septum, and some stuff in my ears, and like that was it. Like that was all I wanted. Just a little. That was it. Like 6 piercings in total. but like not everyone that peacocks, and I mean I hate doing the hashtag not all thing, but all the time. But again, it's silly to say narcissist because it's again this is true self obsession in a. I mean, I suppose I understand what he means, but it's just like I said. I hate using the term slop, but it's psychobabble. It's psycho slop. It's the same thing as saying like emotional labor and like all these things. It's like these terms used to have meanings, but they don't have meanings anymore because pop culture got a hold of them and just kind of strangled any meaning out of them. Narcissist at this point, like I said, is just person I don't like doing thing that makes me feel bad in the feels. It's just it doesn't mean anything. So we should probably rein it back in, stop using it so much. How can the nuclear family function when the female half of the equation, which is supposed to act as a nurturing balance, is conditioned to become self-serving, egomaniacal, conflict-oriented, status obsessed, victim obsessed, and desperate for control? Good question. Today, 63% of men are single, with the majority not looking for a partner. By the year 2030, 45% of Western women between the ages of 25 and 45 will be single and childless, spinsters, in other words. Also, the actual sentence here, I'm going to point, I'm not going to stop pointing this stuff out until editing gets better. I think this Tyler Durden guy I think this is his website, because if you look at the header, on a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to zero. That's a direct line from Fight Club, and then the guy, his avatar is Brad Pitt from Fight Club, and his pen name is Tyler Durden, so he's clearly trying to evoke that imagery and I don't know, just I'm not going to stop pointing this stuff out until the editing gets better. Because what he ended up saying here is by the year 2030, 45% of Western women between the ages of 25 and 35 will single and childless. He forgot the word be there. We need to do better with the editing, boys. It's a demographic disaster. It's the end of civilization as we know it, and it's exactly what the political left wants. As I've said before, population collapse is not a good thing, but I also don't think it's going to be this world-ending catastrophe that everybody else thinks it's going to be. Because we don't have a birth rate problem in the area I live in. Every woman I know has 3 and 4 and 5 children. I can count on one hand the number the number I can count on one hand the number of childless women I know. Like we're here in the area of Kentucky where I live in, we are breeding at replacement rate. At beyond replacement rate. Also, if you break it down by demographics, you'll see that the certain demographics, I don't want to say the better demographics, but certain demographics are actually breeding at replacement rate. So again, when the population collapses, we pretty much know which populations will collapse. So it's a much more nuanced kind of topic. Population collapse. I think there are much worse things on the horizon than population collapse. And again, I don't even think we're actually going to go through population collapse in the way that Elon Musk and everybody's kind of putting it out there. Unless we will have a contraction of population, there will be a bunch of sectors that won't have workers, and it's going to hurt in other areas, and the whole system is going to get shaken by it a little bit, but it's not going to be the world ender that I really think. I don't think it's going to be the world ender that people are making it out to be. Feminism is the key to creating this crisis because it disrupts the basic biological and psychological imperative of men and women. This is well documented, but beyond women using their prime years to pursue careers over marriage and family, there is a factor of emotional and mental incompatibility with the vast majority of men.
Hey, Americans, we all need to collectively crash out and break down right now. Let's just face the fucking truth. This is really fucking shitty, and this is really fucking hard, okay?
Look at it, glaring at you. This nice big silver nose, nice big silver septum ring right in the middle of her face.
It sucks, and it's really unfair that we live in this capitalistic society that is just oppressing the fuck out of every single American right now, okay? That is fact. That is what this is, okay?
Oh wow, shocking. She's anti-capitalist. Surely such a thing has never happened. A modern woman radicalized by her years in college, assuming that this feral Carol lady went to college. She talks like she went to college. Radicalized against capitalism and all things American in her American taxpayer subsidized education indoctrination camp. Yeah, okay. Like she's this woman here is the exact example of what this article is trying to talk about.
The only way to move forward from this is accepting that we are all suffering. You and you and you, okay? Break the fuck down already. Get the cry out. Collapse. Make it as dramatic as you need it to be without harming others. Because once
Oh, at
you
least she
do
was good
that,
enough
you
to put
can
that little
process
caveat in
and then
there.
you can heal and then we can move forward. So much of this is out of our control, but so much of it can be in our control if we can control ourselves, which is having a breakdown, collapsing. We don't all need to go be hospitalized. Don't do what I did and wait too long until it's too much. Your body really does keep score. Have the fucking breakdown. Fucking cry it out. Get with your friends, be in your comfy pajamas, bring your blankets, get the box of tissues out. Men, women, non-binary folks, sit the fuck down and fucking break down. Together, alone, however you need to do it. But we need to fucking do it, okay? It's necessary for all of our health and well-being because we're getting put through the fucking ringer and it's out of our control. Let's control what we can and have a good breakdown. Have a great weekend.
Just this woman is encouraging everybody to have mental breakdowns because that's exactly what society needs right now is a bunch of mentally ill people blubbering and refusing to engage with life. Again, this was posted on X by a guy named Vince Langman. Nose ring equals batshit crazy. This is 100% accurate. Even if modern women decide they prefer to find a man in 2025, most men do not want them. This has led to what some are calling the female loneliness epidemic, a rise in women seeking relationships but unable to find men willing to reciprocate. Within feminist circles, the word on the street is that men are no longer approaching. This is also a bit of a thing, and this isn't a shot at Tyler like, the last kind of. This is more just, it's the female loneliness epidemic is being caused not by men refusing to engage. There are tons of men out there who would engage with this woman or this woman or even this woman for fuck's sake. Like there are tons of men out there who'd engage with them. The problem is not that like it's those like they don't want those men. Those men aren't good enough for them. That's the thing. These women think they all deserve Henry Cavill, but they don't. And they're not interested in anything that doesn't look like Henry Cavill. You know, because there are tons of men out there who would totally engage with these women. They have psyoped themselves into thinking that the only thing they deserve is well, fucking Superman. But of course, it can't be Henry Cavill the way he currently is. Because if you ever heard like Cavill in interviews talk about things, and I'm not saying Cavill's one of our guys, he's a very apolitical movie like actor, which is one of the things I like about him. Is I really don't know much about his politics, but I've heard him talk about um, I've heard him talk about like the dynamic between men and women, and like I agree with. He's had some pretty base takes, so women don't like that shit. So they want him to look like Cavill, but have the politics. Basically, they want him to look like Cavill, but have the politics of Justin Trudeau or Zoran Mamdani, and those things don't normally go together. The closest thing you get to a guy like that is probably Luigi Mangione, and that dude's a psycho murderer. So again, why are women? Why? This is a trend that is visible in many European countries and Canada and Australia, where feminism has been allowed to spread beyond universities and into vital social structures. Men wait for women to approach, or they avoid women altogether. Guilty. I got tired of dealing with modern female bullshit, and I've just completely checked out of the dating game. After the complete implosion of my last relationship, I just was like, no, I think I'm done here. I've completely stopped engaging. Like if women want my attention, they need to at this point they need to make it like abundantly clear. Because I am genuinely there, and I don't look like Henry Cavill either. So like, theories are numerous. Feminists claim men are losing their masculinity or are too frightened of strong, independent women. This is a bit of gaslighting and a bit of cope. At no point do modern women ever consider the possibility that they are the problem, nor do they ever ask men to explain the situation. Why? Because they don't want to hear the truth. Got another video.
The male loneliness epidemic is not real. There's a male loser epidemic, but there's not a male
Yeah,
loneliness
see?
epidemic. They are just so fucking miserable and draining to be around, and then they're like, why don't girls want to date us? It's because you fucking suck. No one wants to hang out with you.
Yeah, this absolute fucking dyke here thinks she's in a position to like tell men what's wrong with them. And look at her. Look at her with her fucking Botox lips and her like bull sized septum piercing, like she's a like she's an absolute 10. Like she doesn't deserve like again, the only men she thinks are losers are 99% of men. She doesn't, unless, who knows, or maybe she's like, a total dyke lesbian. Except she's probably not because lesbians aren't real. Um, but yeah, it's like Brian Atlas is the one that posted that video, and he says also there's that famous female empathy. Yeah, this woman lacks complete empathy. Yep, men are just losers. That's the problem. It's not that you're fucking hideous to look at and insufferable to be around. It's that men are losers. And again, like I said, there are tons of men out there who would engage with this hideous tramp, but she doesn't want them. The male loneliness epidemic is not necessarily self-inflicted. It was kind of forced upon us by feminism. The female loneliness epidemic is self-inflicted. That's because they consider the vast majority of men to be ugly and below their standards, so they don't want to engage with them at all. The problem is every woman today thinks she deserves Henry Cavill. One particular trend that has gone viral has feminists enraged is nose ring theory, also known as septum ring theory. The trend is based on an observable stereotype, the idea that many crazed feminists on social media tend to have the exact same physical characteristics. It's the blue hair, not always blue, sometimes green or pink or purple or whatever the fuck. And in fact, most of the girls that are shown here don't even have the blue hair, or like this girl's got her natural color showing. She might be dyed brown, but whatever. And then this one's hair is black again. Might be a dye job, might not be her natural color, but it is a natural color. Like her hair could be this color. But anyway, the blue hair, the face, neck, and full body tattoos, the high cut bangs, and of course, they almost always seem to have septum rings in their noses. Men have noticed the similarities and are now avoiding any women with these features. The theory is supported by the leftist habit of using symbolic identifiers, much like a cult would use to pick out other adherents in a crowd. When the pandemic mandates failed to garner enough public support in the US and the mask requirements were abandoned, largely because the masks were proven to be useless, the political left continued to wear them anyway. Looking at you, Tay Taylor Lorenz, who still wears a mask to this day. Why? Because the masks have become symbolic of the cult, a uniform for the woke. The septum ring is the new COVID mask. It's a signal to other believers that they are on the same side. Then there's the psychological concerns. Women with inordinate body modifications include ample piercings and tattoos are seen by men as self-obsessed, impulsive, or mentally incapable of settling for normality. Nihilism is common, not to mention depression, manic unpredictability, and a lack of emotional intelligence. Reason, in other words, I again, this is mostly true, at least in my personal experience. All the women that I've been with, and I have consistently dated women who are pierced and tattooed, and or have pursued women who are pierced and tattooed, and they engage for a little while, but then they either completely disengage as soon as another man comes along who has higher status or is better looking or just any other thing. Like they're happy to entertain my ugly ass until like they think they can get a better looking man. Um, or a man who has more money, or any of the women trade up. Basically, they very rarely date down. They normally date up. But a lot of these mental problems are, like, they're true in my experience. I date heavily tattooed and heavily pierced women, and almost every single one I've ever engaged with has been fucking crazy. Not all of them. Like I said, I've met more than a few women who seem like, who are tattooed up and have piercings, who seem like, I said, they're perfectly reasonable people. Most of them are not. In other words, they might be unhinged. This doesn't stop men from looking for a good time, but it does stop them from seeking a long-term relationship. Again, there are plenty of men out there who would engage with these women in long-term relationships. These women just don't want them.
So if we're not going to have the revolution and overthrow the government, can we please proceed to the apocalypse where everybody dies? Because I don't want to be here anymore. I'm making $600 every 2 weeks. I can't survive like this. I can't pay my bills. What are we doing? Are we going to do something? Anyone? Anybody?
Yep, let's just, you're miserable and you're bad with, budgeting your money, and you have a shitty career. You're likely like a Starbucks barista, who basically made a series of poor life decisions, and in order to cover for your, mental instability, you just want everybody on the planet to die. And look at that. Nose ring theory strikes again. Feminists seem to have recently discovered nose ring theory, and they are not happy. They admit that the theory is somewhat accurate. Did he repeat that line? Oh, okay. No, he didn't. It was close, though. Feminists seem to have recently discovered nose ring theory, and they are not happy. They admit that the theory is somewhat accurate, but they also argue that men are not being honest about why they are avoiding feminists. They say that men are scared away by the septum ring, because it represents freedom, and women who will not be controlled. In reality, it simply indicates a woman who has succumbed to woke ideology, a form of insanity that very few men are interested in dealing with. And these women then wonder why they are living alone with their cats. Yeah, I mean, again, kind of repeating myself here, but there are men, they just don't want them.
I'm going to hold your hand with an industrial paper towel when I tell you that your comments saying nose ring theory are literally doing the opposite of what you think they are. I want to look this way. I want you to be able to look at me and see that I am a safe space and that I don't tolerate fucking bullshit. I want you to look at me and know, fuck Donald Trump, fuck men, honestly, and fuck what's going on in the world right now. Fuck the genocide in Gaza. And
Yeah,
fuck
because
anybody who
everything
thinks
is
any
about what's
differently.
happening in
Honestly,
Gaza.
if I'm not for you, good.
You're not for anybody. You disgusting trollop. Like, you're not for anyone. This is a great example of a woman who will die alone. Now, she actually has the funny color. She actually has a big green streak in her hair. And she's got the fucking crazy googly eyes, and she's just gross. There's nothing appealing about this woman at all, like from a personality standpoint. Still would. Honestly, I would every woman here except for this one. This is the only one who I would probably curve. But yeah, no, I'd even smash this one right here, assuming that's not a tranny. No, that's not. In the past, leftist women were more difficult to identify and avoid. So many men have been caught in the trap, blinded by the promise of companionship, only to be held hostage by a succubus who cleaves their soul and destroys the one thing men value above all else: peace. Thankfully, the political left's propensity for rabid self-identification has saved a lot of men a lot of grief. When feminists are easy to spot from a mile away, the conflicts associated with broken families are easier to diffuse. Years of horror can be prevented. If men can't have normal, healthy relationships anymore, then there's no reason for them to chase modern women. Feminists have helped men to avoid life-wasting affairs simply by wearing an ugly piece of jewelry in their faces. Like again, it's this is all just like easily avoidable. Just like take the septum ring out and stop being such a bitch. Also, Check your expectations. You're not going to get Brad Pitt. You're not going to get Liam Hemsworth. You're not going to get Henry Cavill. You're not going to get Luigi Mangione if that's the type of shit you're into because you're a disgusting fucking whore who likes murderous manlets who murder fathers for because they had jobs they didn't like. But yeah, just you know, it's the whole thing's funny. Just watching all of these women just melt down over nothing because men are noticing. It's not over nothing. I know exactly what it's over. It's because men are noticing. Pattern recognition strikes again. And this one went on longer than I intended it to, but also I hadn't made one in a while, so I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to, do all the algorithm stuff for me and, you know, throw me a nose ring.